how's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at The Haunting. This is from 2009 and is part of the Fangoria Fright Fest. This is written and directed by Elio Quiroga and stars Ana Torrent, Francesco Boira, and Hector Colome. Now, this movie is from Spain. Over here, it's known as The Haunting, but in Spain, it's known as Nodo the Beckoning. N-O-D-O. And to be honest, both titles are terrible. Nodo is short for news documentary. Basically, there's a company that makes news documentaries, and in this movie, they're shooting secret films for the Catholic Church, and some of them, they're up to shady things. Now, I don't know why, if you're up to shady things, you'd want it on film, other than if you're making a movie and want exposition and cool old-timey film filters. But also, don't give that job to a legitimate news crew. That's just asking for a leak. But anyway, there are some elements of this film that are shot in old film format. It's not the hugest part of the story, and you see how naming your film news documentary doesn't really sell a haunted house feature. So that title's bad, but The Haunting is way too generic. As far as I'm concerned, the title's already taken by the Shirley Jackson movie, but there's so many movies. The Haunting, A Haunting, Haunted, The Haunting of Person, Place, or Thing, A Haunting in This Town. There's so many movies with the word haunting in them that if you try to look up this movie, you gotta type in 2009, and then maybe you'll get lucky and you'll find it. It's easier to look up with its Nodo title, but yeah, both titles are pretty bad, and I think they used The Haunting because A Haunting in Connecticut had come out kind of recently, and they're trying to ride that wave, you know? But whatever. Regardless of what it's called, how's the movie? It's okay. You know, it's a haunted house movie. This mother's worried about her kid staying safe, this little baby. You know, you got a maternal angle there, and it's got a lot of stock haunted house scares. It's not super creative, and the tension isn't super great. And to be honest, this movie's pretty forgettable. Like, not forget it the next day. Forget large parts of what you just saw as you're watching it before the movie's over. It's not bad. It didn't really bore me. It's just nothing really stuck in my head super well. And I wasn't really engaged, you know? And we'll get into why that might be in a second. But the big unique thing with this film is it's not just a haunted house movie, but it's a Catholic conspiracy film. The house that they're renting is owned by the church, and it has its whole string of backstory. And it's way too much, and it sidelines the film. Like, you'll get all this stuff introduced. A whole bunch of different things happened in this house past, and it's way too many. Like, it's hard to keep up with a little bit. Not just because it's complicated, it's really not that complicated once you see what's going on. It's just something that's a B plot to the mother's plot looking after her baby, and you get way too many elements introduced in kind of a haphazard way, and then forget the mother looking after the baby. It's all conspiracy in the third act. Forget what we were doing, sidelined. And that kind of does kill it. I was much more interested, even though it was generic and forgettable, in just the main haunted house plot. And this conspiracy stuff is unique, but there's just too many ideas and it needed to be streamlined. Overall, though, it's an okay watch, I wasn't really bored. It didn't make me upset or anything. It's a nice, lazy Saturday afternoon haunted house movie, but this is another one of those videos that I knew I had to get out really quick, because if I waited too long on it, I would just forget too much of this movie and not be able to record this. So, yeah, don't go too far out of your way for it, but it's fine. Anyway, in order to analyze it further, let's talk a bit about the plot. Doing this, I'll be able to point out certain things that don't work and do a deeper analysis, but I won't do any major spoilers, so I won't go towards the end, but I do want to dig a little deeper. Anyway, we open up with our main character. She's a nurse, and we see her blessing a miscarriage, so we know she cares deeply about babies, and she's going to leave to a new house that her and her husband have rented and try to regain her center. She just had a baby herself, she's going on maternity leave, and there's this whole thing where it sounds like she's already taken a lot of time off, and they're not sure if the hospital will grant it, but she is going to do this anyway because it's what she needs to spend time with her baby. And she is a little paranoid about the baby. Like, even before the hauntings start, she's constantly worried about the baby, and she's even going to see a therapist about it. But she'll do things like go to the baby's room and sleep in a chair right by its crib, obsessively listen to the baby monitor, and any little sound or lack of sound, you gotta go, what's going on with the baby? And that's a very real human thing. You know, you want your kid to be okay. If only it really realized its theme better, because it's just kind of there, and you get a whole lot of the husband saying you need to be less obsessive, but it doesn't really tie everything together into it. Now, there is the ghost, and if they tied the ghost into the theme better, like if one of the scares was the ghost leaning over the baby's crib drooling, that would be creepy. But it's not really. The ghost will, like, you know, appear in the mirror, or she'll have a dream where her husband's face is all spooky. The ghosts aren't really directly threatening the baby, and in turn, it's like the wife walking around, the husband saying she's too obsessive, and then the ghost just kind of popping out and doing a little scare. It's not great. And also, CGI heavy with the ghost, or at least I'm pretty sure it's CGI. The ghosts show up and there's like this filter over them to make them all film grainy and scarier. But if the ghosts aren't scary with the filter on, don't rely on it. So there's 3 little ghosts with the film grain filter. They're like creepy little girls, and they're okay. There's a scene where there's these plaster body parts, and they kind of form together into a big CGI monster. And it is a cool idea. It's fantastical. But at the same time, being so CG, I'm like, cool, CGI monster, or whatever. And then the big, mysterious, phantom-looking thing towards the end of the film, again, yay, CGI monster, I don't really care. And there's also a thing in this house with the family. There's a twist on one of the family members, and I won't spoil what it is, but it's painfully obvious, especially if you read the description on the back. The description on the back of the movie doesn't explicitly spoil what it is, but with that information going into the movie, you're like, so wait a minute, wouldn't that mean that this character is actually this? And yeah, even without the back, it's super obvious, and I kind of just wish they had made it a twist to the characters and not us. You know, just let us know. You know, don't even spell it out. Just be honest that we all know, and just make it a twist for the characters, but constantly acting like we don't know. It's just, it doesn't play out well. But anyway, mom in a haunted house. Oh no, I hope the ghosts don't get my baby. Not done the best, but I get it. Generic haunted house stuff. And then we have all the other flipping things in this movie. So the house used to be a asylum and also used to be a school. And there's this whole thing where, like, there were these girls that thought they saw the Virgin Mary when it was a school, and then years later when it was an asylum, there was a woman there who's like one of the last patients, and she was in a coma for 30 years or something, and then she wakes up, the bishop's dead, she's the last patient, and now we're going to turn it into a rental house, which, an asylum becoming a rental house, and the Catholic Church definitely knows there's something wrong with this place, but they're still renting it out because the guy in charge doesn't know. And like I said, there's a lot going on with this. There's also this whole bit where there's like a woman and she was a prostitute, but now she's curing people, and they're like, she can't be a saint if she's a prostitute, even though the Bible is full of people that had dark past and they changed their ways, and that's an important theme of the Bible is forgiveness and turning your life around, but still the church is like, she can't be a saint because she was a prostitute. So, I mean, look at all this, you know, kids seeing Mary, coma woman, school, asylum, prostitute, saint. How many things do you want to be in your movie? Like, once you spell it all out and I see where all the pieces are, it's not that hard to follow, but it's the way too. Like, when you do a mystery, mysteries are one of the hardest things to do in a movie. You have to have a really tight script, and a lot of it is building intrigue and carefully handing out the clues when you get to them in a way that gives us some answers and makes us want more. But this movie is just like, here's a piece, try to keep up, here's another piece. There's someone, and you don't know where they fit into the timeline. It turns out they weren't even in the house, and they were doing miracles, and it's just a jumbled up, mangled up mess that, again, doesn't amount to being super complicated. It's just hard to follow, and more importantly, it has, other than that it explains why the house is haunted, it has nothing to do with the maternal horror side, really. So you have this simple plot that really could have been a good movie. I'm a mother and I think the ghosts want to get my baby. And it gets sidelined by this big Catholic conspiracy angle with way too many parts explained very poorly. And it just kind of, you get a little at the beginning of the movie, then random chunks falling randomly throughout. But the baby, who we're so concerned with for most of the movie, they just go, we're sending that over to our parents, baby's out of the movie now, and the last third of the movie just focuses entirely on this whole other thing. Have a sense of focus. Cut the conspiracy angle down to just what you need to set up the story, and have all the ghost attacks focusing directly on threatening your baby. The theme of your movie is a mother wanting to protect her child and the rest of the world not taking it seriously. Simple is better. Don't get distracted by all this other stuff. And yeah, at the end of the day, they didn't focus on what they needed to, which could have been a good movie. The ghosts just randomly popping up and doing their little dances. Fun enough, but again, no sense of direction. And the conspiracy angle is different, but it's just fumbled so poorly, and at the end of the movie, eats up way too much screen time. It's not bad. A good lazy Saturday afternoon, show me a haunted house movie and give me a few cool ghost designs. It's okay in that regard, but I'm probably going to watch this video myself later whenever I stumble across this and go, what was this movie about again? Because it's sadly kind of a forgettable one, but okay enough at the same way. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. Should be my ghost movies playlist. If you want to see me talk about other ghost movies, these should be right there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.